Alrighty then, welcome back. This is a little review on how to successfully write a DBQ. As we know, this would have been 1/4 of our exam, but this year it is our exam, okay, for 2020. So, here's what we need to do. We need to talk about the parts of the DBQ, okay? We're going to briefly go over them, and then I'm going to cover the steps with how to successfully break down the documents and analyze them with this practice DBQ that I have assigned you on a college board. So first off, let's start with reading the prompt. Okay, we're going to talk about reading the prompt, how to understand it, how to break it down. Next, brainstorming. Okay, we always need to brainstorm our outside information and also categorize the documents, which we know how to do. 3, reading the documents or analyzing them, categorizing them. 4, thesis. 5, essay. So let's start with step 1. Okay, reading the question, what am I supposed to do to answer in my essay? Reading and breaking down the prompt just like we do in a long answer question. We will do this together in this video later on, so stay tuned. Next, brainstorming, okay, just like we do whenever we write, okay, we usually like to put things in the margin, jot down ideas. We don't have a whole lot of time to do this, okay, but we need to, write ourselves some notes. I don't really suggest taking time to put a T-chart or Venn diagram. However, notes to yourself is very important. And when we talk about notes, I would say vocabulary words, topics, people, events, laws, etc. Step 3, analyzing those documents. Okay, how do you analyze a document? Remember, this is very important. This is what makes a DBQ and not a long essay. Incorporating the documents and analyzing them. So talking about the document's author, their audience, their point of view, the purpose, or the context. Now, we'll talk more about that and we'll do one of these or a couple of these together later on in the video. So stay tuned as well. Underlining the author and the date, very important, okay? I ask you all year long, okay, as far as what is the first thing we do when we see a document. You know very well what I always say, look at the source, okay? And we'll do that together as well. So as we go through the documents, we are going to try to categorize them as we go, okay? If they belong in, X or, Y, whatever the categories are, we'll talk more. Step 4, thesis. Okay, this is what you guys are really good at. You guys have done thesis statements, in the past, for me, for global, for world, for English, whatever it may be. Always need to remember 2 things, okay? Before the thesis, set it up nicely, okay? Provide that background or contextual information. Give the reader some sort of an idea that you know what time period you're talking about, okay? So make sure you incorporate that background information, maybe with a nice little time period, maybe if there's a war going on or something like that, the causes for the whatever it may be. Give some background or contextual information. As far as the thesis goes, make sure you're specific, don't be too vague. Give the reader the idea that you know what you're going to talk about for the rest of the essay. 5, the body paragraphs. Okay, the body paragraphs, I can't tell you how many there should be. That's totally up to you. There could be 2, there could be 3, there could be 5. Okay, it's whatever you want to or however you want to organize your body paragraphs. There's no points, added or deducted for your organization skills. Don't just rely on the documents alone. You have to bring out outside information. If you only rely on the documents, we call that a document dump. Document dump is not good, okay? You need to bring in some information to the reader that was not incorporated in the documents. That's what makes this, the DBQ, right? It's an essay based on documents plus your information that you know. If you use direct quotes, make sure you cite them. Try to avoid it. Obviously, refer to the documents. You have to refer to the documents, okay? You have to incorporate them. So if you use an idea that was from a document, make sure at the end of your paragraph, in parentheses, you put document 1. You don't have to do that, but I will say this. If you make the life of the reader easier, then it could lead to a better grade, okay? When you have the reader trying to find where your documents are being used in your essay because you didn't cite them, that makes their job very difficult, and you don't want an angry reader grading your paper. So make sure you cite your documents, okay? For this year, remember you're getting 5 documents. Remember that I've always encouraged you to use all of the documents in your essay because you don't want to slip up. Maybe you didn't fully use one and the reader doesn't give you credit for that. Okay, great, you have a backup. Okay, the good news is, okay, this year, okay, what they're really looking for out of the 5 documents is for you to use at least 3 of them in the essay. Okay, that's not so bad, but we're going to use all 5. Okay, and remember, we are going to analyze all 5. Yes, we can do that in 45 minutes this year. Next thing is the buzzwords, okay, in capital letters there. When I say buzzwords, and I put this on a lot of your homework sometimes, or I look for this in your short answers, the things that I underline, the vocabulary words, the people, the laws, the places, the events, the wars, whatever it is, that is what sets you apart from the other people. Okay, the vocabulary that you use, how you define it. If you use a word like an abolitionist, define it. Write your essay as if you're writing an essay for a 5th grader who doesn't know what an abolitionist is. Yes, the person that's reading it knows what it is, but they need to know that you know it, okay? Don't just throw around terms. If you mention a person, Stephen Douglas, who is he? Okay, what's a radical Republican? Okay, those are the things that really sets your paper apart. Okay, the vocabulary that you use, hence why we spent so much time on vocabulary this year. Synthesis, another thing that people need to get a grip on, okay, and most of us have a good grip on this. Synthesizing means that you're showing the reader that you have a good idea on how to connect time periods, and that means that you fully understand your topic, okay? We'll talk about this in a second as we get into this practice DBQ that I've assigned you. Now, conclusion, I don't really want you to worry too much about a conclusion. There is no points on the rubric that is given to your conclusion. Just wrap it up real quick. Spend your bulk of the time on the body paragraphs and the introduction paragraph. Don't spend too much time on your conclusion. Just wrap it up real quick. Okay, that's it. Okay, so let's take a look at the practice DBQ and the rubric along with it. So, first off, let's start with the DBQ that we were assigned in AP Classroom this year. It's on period 5. Remember, period 5 is one of the periods that is fair game for this year's exam. It's one of the periods that has a lot of information. I do think this is a very possible topic for your exam. So, this is straight from AP Classroom, cut and paste, okay, the directions. Following question requires you to construct a coherent essay that integrates your interpretation of documents A through I. Now, yes, this is going to be more than 5 documents, but also remember the directions did say, being this is such a special exam, I don't need you to use all of those documents. I just need you to use 5, right? Because only 5 are going to be in the exam this year. So your knowledge of the period referred to in the question, high scores will be earned only by essays that cite both key pieces of evidence from the documents and draw of outside knowledge of the period. Okay, remember outside information. So here's your prompt. In what ways and to what extent did constitutional and social developments between 1860 and 1877 amount to a revolution? Now, remember, we had 3 things we needed to do that we talked about this year to break down a prompt, whether it's a long essay or a DBQ. So let's break it down together. The first thing is, what are they asking us to do? Ways and extent. Okay, that's the first thing. That's what they're asking us to do. Next, okay, what is the content? Okay, what's the the purpose here of this essay? The ways and extent to constitutional and social developments. Okay, so we need to make sure we talk about the Constitution, some rights, some social developments here. And then the last piece of breaking down a prompt is the time period, 1860 to 1877. Great question always is, Mister, can I talk about something that happened in 1859? Can I talk about something that happened in 1890? Yes, that is synthesis. When you bring in an outside time period, okay, that is synthesizing. That's good. That's showing you fully understand the connection. Okay, just make sure the bulk of your essay, okay, 90% of your essay, let's say, falls within this time period. So this time period, if you remember, is the Civil War through Reconstruction, okay, which is part of period 5. Okay, remember, we're in 45 minutes, okay? Here we only have 45 minutes. I get it. That's not a lot of time to do a lot of stuff. Taking 30 seconds to just circle, box out, or underline these 3 little things can be very important. Some of us sometimes write an essay, and I always ask, did you answer or accomplish the task? This is what prevents, okay, you from going off on a tangent, let's say. So just taking 30 seconds to do this, okay, can help you in the long run. When you go back to the original question, when you're halfway through your essay and you say, wait, did I answer what they wanted me to? Yes or no? Okay, so that's always our first step, okay, that's the prompt. Let's take a look at the first few documents here that were in our practice DBQ. Okay, so the first one is at the top of the page here, source or document A got cut off, but you can see the first document. So let's start with the first document. And again, what is the first thing we do when we see a document? You're answering out loud to yourself in your room right now saying, the source. Very good. So, South Carolina Declaration of Cause of Secession, December 24th, 1860. Before I even read the document, I should have a good idea what this document is going to be about. What is the contextual information about this source? Take a second, think to yourself. South Carolina, 1860, what happens? Secession, what does that mean? So, in your mind, okay, you should already be writing some things down in your margin. Context could be what happened in 1860? There was a big election. Who got elected? Why did South Carolina secede? What is this document going to be about? The cause of secession. Right there, okay, I pretty much already have the gist of what this document is about. Perfect. I did that in 15 seconds. Next, what's the purpose of this document? Straightforward. Okay, they're telling us why they seceded. And then another analysis point here, what's the point of view? Okay, well, it's from South Carolina, so they're going to be telling us that they had the right to secede. Accomplishing, okay, the purpose or the point of view or the author or the context, this is analyzing a document. This is what I mean by analyzing a document. So in your essay, you're writing, okay, in document A, they're telling us why they seceded because Abraham Lincoln was elected in 1860. South Carolina and many of the southern states did not agree with Abraham Lincoln getting elected. He wasn't even on the ballot in 7 states, but he still got elected. The reason they were so upset is because he was a sectional president. Sectionalism means that you have a loyalty to your section of the country. 3 sections of the country during this time period were North, South, and West. The South was also very upset because they didn't agree with Lincoln's philosophy on slavery. He was a free soiler. A free soiler is blah, blah, blah. You see how I set that up really nice? Okay, there's a lot of information right there, and I only was just talking about document 1. Now, the next question is, okay, once I analyze all these documents, and again, we're only using 5 this year, okay, so only use 5 in your essay. And yes, we're using all 5. Once we've done that, once we've accomplished, a big question many of you are thinking is, how do I synthesize? How do I connect time periods? What does that mean? Now, simple answer. There is no other civil war in our history. How can I connect the Civil War to another time period? Okay, what about this? Can I connect another incident that has led to the precedent of secession over time? Yes. Think back to the first time we saw this pop up. John Adams' administration. he helps pass the Alien Sedition Acts. Those limited foreigners' First Amendment rights in speaking out against the government. Then, in response, Jefferson and Madison wrote the Kentucky and Virginia resolutions, which said that the states had a right to nullify or not listen to federal laws if they didn't feel they were constitutional. Set the precedent for the Tariff of Abomination. South Carolina refused to pay it. Andrew Jackson comes in and says, you have to. Henry Clay says, wait a minute, before we go to civil war, why don't we compromise? They'll lower the tariff over the course of the next few years if South Carolina agrees to pay it. Thank you, Henry Clay. Fast forward, sets the precedent for South Carolina seceding in 1860 after Lincoln is elected. That was a synthesis point, and there's a lot of information there. I could have gone on a little bit more about some of those. That's synthesis, connecting time periods, connecting events. Okay, is that the only point of synthesis that there is? No. Okay, but that was just a really good example. So we'll try it one more time. Okay, with the second document, okay, you need to always look at the source. 1863 right away. I should already think about this is in the middle of the Civil War, so there's a lot of things going on. This is right around the Emancipation Proclamation time period. I could always bring that into my essay, talk about the Emancipation Proclamation, what is it, why it was issued, the importance, the effects of it, and so on and so forth. And then on your own, what's the context, what's the purpose, what's the point of view. The moral of the story is, okay, what you really need to do with this essay is you need to, 1, obviously write it. 2, have a thesis. 3, use 5 documents and analyze them. When I say analyze, we talked about breaking them down. Context is the best way to analyze documents. This is my biggest suggestion to you, because in the rubric, there is a point for contextualization. Okay, so I would use context. You're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Okay, meaning that not only am I getting a point for analyzing the document, but I'm also getting a point for contextualization. I'll show you what I mean in a second on the rubric. Okay, so we'll continue, you will continue on your own, okay, breaking down these documents, but I think you have a pretty good idea as how we would go about this, so specifically for this DBQ. Okay, so the last thing I just want to do is take a look at the rubric. You've seen this before from me. We've broken this down together in class. We've written DBQs throughout the year. You've had this stapled to your DBQs before. Take a look at what you have from me. See what I suggest you need to work on or what you did really well at, okay? So this will help you in your last few DBQs here. So first off, point number 1 is the thesis, right? We're very good at this by now. We have a good grasp on all of this. Next, argumentation, okay? Did your essay present a cohesive argument? Were you saying that the events during 1860 to 1877 had a profound impact on our country, or do they not? Okay, and that's whatever your argument is. Okay, but you have to present, obviously, the information to back up your claim. Next, we are typically used to 7 documents, and we only have to use 3 out of the 7 to analyze. This year, we don't have 7, right? We only have 5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in those 5, okay, what we have to do is analyze all 5. Okay, so not only describing them, saying, hey, listen, document 1 was about this, but the contextual information about document 1 was the election of Abraham Lincoln. Perfect. You got your point for describing the document and also for explaining it or analyzing it. Okay, that's point 3 and 4 here. Okay, and doing it for all 5 is excellent. Point 5 is contextualization. Wait, I thought I only contextualized okay, in my document analysis. Hence why I suggest you use contextualization as document analysis because, like I said before, it kills two birds with one stone. If you contextualize for the document, you also get your point for contextualization here, point number 5, okay? Point number 6, evidence beyond the documents, okay? Did you bring in outside information? Did you tell me why South Carolina seceded from the Union for document 1? Did you tell me the reason the South didn't like Lincoln? Okay, that's evidence beyond the documents. Okay, so kind of contextualization and evidence beyond the documents go hand in hand. If you just tell me, yeah, the South didn't really like Lincoln, well, you're not really giving me the evidence. Tell me why. What was the deal? What was his platform? Why didn't they like him? Use those vocabulary words like secession, like um, free soilers, okay, abolitionists, okay, those are the buzzwords, the vocabulary words that get you that point for 5 and 6, okay? And point number 7 is understanding, okay? Understanding shows the reader you have a complex understanding of the document, meaning that you fully understand what you're talking about. What shows that you fully understand what you're talking about? What's in bold and underlined right here, synthesis, okay? Synthesizing, connecting time period shows the reader you know what you're talking about. And we used examples before of what synthesis could be for this essay, okay? Now, typically our rubric is at a 7. For whatever strange reason this year they're doing it out of 10. You would think it would be less. The reason it's out of 10 is because what they're weighing more heavily, okay, on this rubric is points 3 and 4. They want to see that you can analyze all the documents, okay? Hence why I want you to analyze all of them. So don't worry about the points, okay? Don't worry about what it's out of, okay? What you need to worry about are 3 main things: thesis, document analysis, okay, and synthesis. That's all I want you to worry about, okay? We'll talk, okay, in a live session coming up, but use this to your advantage. Use this as you're about to read and start to accomplish your DBQ. Obviously, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me, but I hope this was helpful. And if you think this was helpful, please give it a like or subscribe. All right, peace out. Have a good day.